So we have a next book today, that is The Obesity Code, that is Unlocking the Secrets of Weight Loss by Jason Fung, MD. Now, as you can see, this book is related to your weight loss issues that are there. Why do some people find it so hard to reduce your weight? And it tries to study the mechanisms that are present in the body, which help you in reducing weight. So now let's move on to what does the book say. Uh, Basically, we'll be talking about the contents of the book that there. Firstly, the book starts where it starts to explain how obesity became an epidemic in USA. It all started with one of the food acts that were passed in the in some year in 1970s, in which the government has recommended that people should go in for the refined fibers, refined carbs, and that increased carbs and decreased fat scheme was launched, which literally coincided with the obesity levels going high in that nation, and right now it is a huge issue there. So, uh, then what does this author say? This author says that people think that if you reduce your carb intake, if you reduce your calorie intake, then your weight will start reducing. Then the author clearly establishes this fact that your obesity or your fat is not linked to your calorie intake, but rather it is linked to the insulin levels that are there in your blood. Now, what is an insulin? Everybody knows it, that it is a hormone that balances the level of sugar in your blood. It's like when you eat, the insulin level goes high, so that some of the glucose is converted into heat and some is stored as glycogen. So this all has been said in the book. After that, the author says that calorie reduction is not the primary factor in weight loss. Then exercise myth has been talked about, like has been stated that there are limits to exercise. Now, why does a person who exercises a lot find it not easy to reduce weight? It is because that your body is accustomed to it. It does not. If you are reducing your calorie intake, then your calorie outgoing from your body is also reduced. Yes, this happens. Your brain is a clever person, so it clearly, if you're reducing your calorie, then the calorie that is going out from your body will also go out. So, and then the next thing, the number of experiments have been done, and overfeeding was studied by the author, and overfeeding did not increase the weight as was anticipated earlier. Then a number of things that the myths that have been broken in the book are that calorie in and calorie out are independent. They are not independent. They are dependent on each other. Like if you reduce your calorie intake, then your calorie outtake is also going to reduce. Then basal metabolic rate is stable. It's not stable. It keeps on increasing and decreasing according to the amount of food that you eat. Then fat stores are unregulated. A very big myth. Like people think that. In the body the fat will keep on getting stored. That is not the point. There is an extreme control over how much fat has to be stored in your body. Then calorie is another myth. It's not like, it depends upon the type of food that you eat. If you are eating a calorie that is from a refined grain, then it is a much hazardous or dangerous to your health rather than a calorie that you get when you eat a fruit. So insulin. Now, next thing, the author has completely tried to establish that insulin does make you fat. Then cortisol, that is a stress hormone, he tries to establish the link between cortisol and your obesity. Then there is um, one of the diet plan that Atkins has been talked about, in which that person started hitting the community over there, medical community, that no, it should be low carbs and greater fats that should be brought in, which will lead to reduction in the weight and the number of people. So that was the Atkins that has been talked. Then next thing that the author says is the insulin resistance. Now, insulin resistance is like, let me explain you. It's like if you eat something, your insulin goes up, glucose travels to your cells. Now, there is one of the fit or the misfit that happens, that cells are not able to take up the glucose inside their cells. Now, what happens? There is huge glucose in your blood, but your cells are starving. They do not have glucose to make energy and heat, so they direct the brain to produce more insulin, so more sugar and more insulin is produced. So this is a basic cycle that forms, like insulin leads to insulin resistance and insulin resistance leads to more insulin. So that is what this talk about. Then What is the thing that causes insulin resistance? It is the persistence of the insulin level in your body. If you keep on eating at a regular interval, then your insulin levels never go down, which may lead to an insulin resistance in your body. So the author clearly says that you should have a big time gap between meals. Like your insulin levels should go down to a considerable extent between your meals. Then he talks about childhood obesity. Then what all the author says is not needed at all. First thing is that sugar should not be taken. Sugar is like, it's an unnecessary part in your diet. Then diet soda. Then carbohydrate should be with fiber. Then he talks about vinegar. Vinegar should be taken in. He's talked that vinegar should be taken in your foods. Then there is a fat phobia. This person has clearly said that if you should increase your intake of natural fats. Yes, natural fats intake should be increased because it does not lead to weight increase. So finally, the author gives up the two chapter that are there, that is what to eat and when to eat. And what to eat, the author says that you should reduce your consumption of added sugars. You should reduce the consumption of refined grains. Then you should moderate your protein consumption. You should increase natural fat consumption, and you should bring in the protective factors that are there, like vinegar and fiber that is there. And when to eat, you should give in be big gaps between your meals. That is, you should not be eating continuously. You may skip up your breakfast. Then fasting is one of the thing that has been said, and exercising, sleeping, rest, all has been said. So this person has clearly established this fact that it's not the calorie that works matters, it is the insulin levels in your blood that do matter. And you may not be able to control it to a certain extent, because insulin also does not explain much of obesity. It is just, I think so, 15% that is explained. Rest all is a complete mystery till now, that what leads to increase in obesity. So yes, this book is a good one. You may read it. Number of experiments have been given, and possibly the two things that are there, that you should not eat maida, that is your refined flour, and you should not eat your chini, that is your sugar, that has been said. Two things that this author has completely focused on is that. And you should break the chain of insulin resistance on the insulin levels in your body by giving some big gaps between your food. You may go in for 36-hour fast or for 72-hour fast. So the author has said all those, and this is what this books contain. So you can go in. I'm leaving the link for from where you can buy this book on Amazon. It's below the in the description below, so you can click on that link and you can buy this book straight from there. So thank you. Hope you are enjoying your lockdown times. I hope that you are still very safe and healthy during this time. Please remain safe. Please remain indoors. Please go out if you are only having some very necessary work, because still we are 5 to 6 months away from the vaccine that will end up this corona, what to say, a corona picture in your life that has completely taken away your 2020 from your life. So thank you, and wish you best of luck for your health. Exactly, your health is what is mattering the most at this present time. So thank you.